What's up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Hump Day live stream for you guys. And yeah, we got a little bit more to discuss regarding regarding what's going on in the world of tech. So Anthony, what's up, man? Glad to have you here. First one in, so appreciate you for being here. And let's see, let's check the poll real quick. Let's see. We got a vote on there. Verizon's device unlock policy. So not anti-competitive. Really? That's very interesting. I'd love to know why. Because I'm about to break this down a little bit more. Like I talked about it in the video yesterday. I'm gonna break it down live today, so that way people understand. Because there's a lot going on over here, and then there's a lot of malarkey that's pretty much just shared with everybody. So yeah, do that solid, hit the like button, appreciate that. But okay, so let's go into kind of what's going on. So Verizon has gotten approval to do away with the 60-day unlock policy. And what that means for everybody else is that now if you go to Verizon and say you get a device from Verizon, one, they do not automatically unlock it anymore. So you actually have to contact Verizon and request for them to unlock that device for you. And two, if you're financing the device, well, then you will be denied the ability to have your device network unlocked until you finish the contract for the phone. So if it's a 24-month contract, you got to wait 24 months to unlock it. If it's 36 months, you got to wait 36 months. It's no longer 60 days. And it has people a little bit upset about it. And basically, long story short, not going into like deep details, but the reason why Verizon was the only one of the other carriers that had a 60-day unlock policy was because of spectrum that they purchased, I think like back in like 2013. Part of that deal, in order to obtain that spectrum for their core network, they agreed that devices that they sold were to be network unlocked after 60 days of activation. So that was part of the agreement. Now that has been abolished by the current FCC chairman, Brandon Carr. And so this has people ticked off. Now, I think the way that the FCC tried to facilitate this change without too much backlash from people is they put it in this weird perspective, okay? They put it in a weird perspective. And that perspective literally just like kind of like emphasized. And I noticed something here, and I'm going to make that change right now. So my bad, my apologies. Hang on. Let's see. Anyways. Yeah, let's add that in. It was so silent there. Hey, Gene, how's it going? But anyways, the way that the FCC facilitated this change where people wouldn't get so upset from the very jump was they mentioned things like fraudulent activity. They mentioned things like, human trafficking and drug smuggling, right? They were saying that this put a damper on those things because now people can't go and, use a form of identity theft to obtain smartphones and then, sell them out. So a lot of people were very gracious to hear that the FCC was like, yeah, we're trying to protect the American people. And so that's the reason why we're doing this. And so now, Verizon doesn't have to unlock these devices automatically after 60 days. Now it is the length of your device financing contract. And for those people who follow tech closely, they know that this is actually, this is like a punch to the gut to the everyday consumer. It really is. I'll explain here in a little bit. I'll explain. Verizon always has to have an excuse on anything. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the whole point. And this, to me, my opinion, this is just my opinion now. So I'm making sure you guys understand. This is my opinion. But the fact that we don't have a fourth carrier is the reason why that this stuff is happening. The fact that there's no competition out there other than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, which are all doing the same thing. It's like we only have three options. Where are you going? Like, where are you as a customer going to go? If you don't like the device unlock policy from T-Mobile or AT&T, then, you know, you would think you would go to Verizon. You think Verizon would take that because it'd be like, yeah, you know, come to us. I mean, the device will get unlocked. You can use it on another carrier if you wanted to after 60 days. Now, it's the way that people perceive this thing, because not everybody, not everybody wants to just get a phone from Verizon and then after 60 days unlock it and go somewhere else. That's not what's happening. It's not like every time that's like 100% the case. There are people who have Verizon as their main phone line because Verizon network is really reliable. But maybe they do frequent a place where Verizon doesn't have the best coverage, but they're not just going to jump and move to a different provider because of that. So what they end up doing is they end up getting like, a secondary phone line. Like they may go and get Metro by T-Mobile, something cheap that puts them on the T-Mobile network, which works good in an area that they're going to. So when they travel, they have the benefit of two different network connections, Verizon and T-Mobile. But when you have a locked device, you can't put a T-Mobile line on to that device with your Verizon line. And they'll give you like all the stuff in the world, You try to tell them like, yeah, I need to get it unlocked. They're going to play dumb with you over the phone and be like, oh, are you traveling outside of the country? We can do that for you. But they're not going to unlock it to where you can add another provider's SIM onto your device, whether it's eSIM or physical SIM. They're not going to do it. They don't care how much you swear you promise you're not porting out of Verizon. Like Verizon, I love Verizon. I wear Verizon t-shirts every day and I don't even work for the company. You could say that to them. They're not going to unlock the device. They're not. Because in their perspective is that anytime that someone asks to get their device unlocked, automatically means they're leaving the company. Automatically means they're porting out. So they're not going to do it. They don't care. You can huff and puff like the big bad wolf, but you're not blowing down the brick house with the Verizon piggies inside of it. It's just not happening. So anyways, just to show you guys real quick, I went back to check the Verizon device unlock policy. It hasn't changed. They haven't changed the, the lingo on here. It still says 60 days for postpaid and 60 days for prepaid. By the way, to the person who commented yesterday's video and was talking about that this affects postpaid, what does prepaid have to do with it? Prepaid has everything to do with it. It's not just postpaid that they're changing the policy on. It's everything. So postpaid, the new change, which is effective to devices activated on January 13, 2026. You have to finish your device financing obligation in order to request for the phone to be device network unlocked. If you're on prepaid, you have to wait 365 days. They've already made that clear. And this is on devices activated January 13th or later. So that's basically devices activated yesterday on Verizon. Now, if you activated on January 12th, January 10th, December 25th, November 24th, October 31st, if you on those days in 2025 and older, if you've activated your Verizon device, then it still follows the 60-day policy. So that's a bit of a good news. So hopefully everybody that was within that parameter went ahead and requested for the device to be unlocked by Verizon. So then that way Verizon can unlock it. It's only if your device was activated on January 13th and afterwards you have to follow the new unlock policy. What if you buy your phone outright or in full? You still have to contact Verizon and request to have your device unlocked, which then they can give you the runaround. They can take the time that they want to get it unlocked. So it's not an automatic unlock like it used to be. And it negates the reason why they were doing a 60-day unlock policy in the first place, and that was because of the spectrum they got. I think it was like what, the 7. I don't know exactly the specifics on what spectrum that they purchased, but part of that deal meant that they had to have their devices unlocked after 60 days of activation. I think Sneed would know that answer more than I would. I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm just not going to put it out there. But that was the main gist of it. As a matter of fact, yesterday's video, shout out to the person who commented the reason why there was a 60-day unlock policy since 2013, I believe it was, and they pretty much spelled out the whole story as to why. I will say this: I agree with people who say that this is anti-competitive. It is, because now you're locked to Verizon. If you get a phone from Verizon, you're locked to Verizon. Excuse me. But anyways, yeah, you're locked to Verizon for the length of the contract of your device. And even if, like Gene just said here in the comments, if you outright buy your device, it's not going to be automatically unlocked. You would have to request it. Anthony says, my thoughts. This is a typical strategic move to cycle in and out customers to other providers because of maybe a new device feature. I mean, yeah, I kind of see. I'm thinking I'm kind of seeing where you're going with this, Anthony. But it's not really cycling between carriers, because if you get, say, like you get like the latest iPhone 17, like you went and bought it today from Verizon, signed up with Verizon, got on their new plan, iPhone 17. If you finance it, you have to finish your financing agreement with Verizon in order to get it unlocked to work on T-Mobile or to work on AT&T. If you don't, it's locked to Verizon. You can't use it on anything else, and you can't even bring it down to, say, like even Mobile X to be able to use. They won't allow it. Now, yes, true, there are people that's on the X platform that were talking about this, and they're like, oh, well, if I really want to leave Verizon, I'll just pay off the phone. Great, but maybe you got the phone at a promo. Maybe Verizon was like 50% off the iPhone 17 and another $200 off for trade-in, and so you're getting the iPhone 17 for like, like $300 or, 300 or 400 bucks, whatever. So you get that promo, right? And you're financing it, so you're on 24-month payments. But if you decide that you're going to cancel service and pay off the iPhone, they're not going to charge you the remaining balance of the promotional amount. They're going to charge you. You lose the promo when you cancel, because it says so in the fine print. So instead of you paying like a couple of $100s and then requesting the iPhone 17 unlocked, now you're going to be paying like about another $500 or whatever the remaining discount balance was. That plus what they discounted off will be now tacked back on it. So now you're going to be paying a huge amount just to request your device to be unlocked. Now, of course, there's workarounds. Yes, I've seen this. People are talking about it. If you're going to switch carriers and you don't want to pay off the phone and whatnot, sell the phone to somebody else, and then use the money that you get for selling the phone and then going in and then buy another phone from a different carrier and start service with a different carrier. And it's like, yeah, that would work out too. But that's the point that everyone's talking about, is like having these devices locked to the network. It's just a trap. That's all it is. It's just a trap to keep you with them. They're hoping that most people are not wanting to get frustrated with this device locked down to the network, that they're not gonna call in to request it to get unlocked. They're just gonna like stick with Verizon and just suck it up. That's what they would love for consumers to do. So this whole thing about a spike in 55% of fraud and everything like that, fraud still happens even if you have the device locked down. First off, there are so many different online websites that are legit can get the device network unlocked. I mean, yeah, it's a fee you pay them depending on the type of device, right? Some of the most hardest devices to unlock, these places charge like $40 to do it. The most easiest ones to unlock, they charge like, $15-20. You pay a one-time fee, you give them the IMEI of the phone, the carrier that the phone is locked to, and then they tell you within 48 hours, they'll email you instructions and what to do to finish the device network unlock. And it works. A lot of people went through that. But this is also the reason why a lot of people are going with unlocked devices from like Best Buy, or they're going direct to manufacturer and getting the devices from them rather than getting it from Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. So now this puts a strain on the carriers, because if no one really wants to buy a lockdown device from them, then they're losing on that business sales. And carriers don't focus on the mid-range devices. They don't focus on the bottom-end devices, right? People can still go in there for the cheap phones and get like the $69 Android phone or $99 Android phone or whatever the case may be. They're not looking to get it network unlocked because those devices have mid-range specs that the user is just waiting for the next generation that will release next year to come out. And then that would be their ticket, whether they decide to stay with the same carrier or move somewhere else. Does this unlocking policy include TracFone? Yes, it includes everything that Verizon owns. Total by Verizon, TracFone. Yeah. Visible. They can lock down Visible. TracFone does not have their own unlocking policy. They're Verizon. See, Visible, TracFone, Total by Verizon, they're brands. They're not their own companies. So the Verizon device unlocking policy applies to all of it. So Verizon postpaid, Verizon prepaid, Visible by Verizon, Total by Verizon, and TracFone, which would include, I think, what, Straight Talk. So all those are all lumped in because they're all Verizon owned. So this policy applies to all of them. So right now, the only places I know of that you can get a brand new smartphone that without any device network lock on them is either Google Fi Wireless, because their devices are not network locked, and Mobile X. The devices they sell on their website, none of them are locked. So you buy a phone from Mobile X and it doesn't work out for you, you can easily take that phone to another carrier. It's network unlocked already. Those are the only two that I know of. Now, if you guys know of any other ones that sell devices that are not network locked, plug it in the comments for people to understand, for people to know, so they know where to shop for phones that are not network locked. This is so anti-competitive. This is why I don't go postpaid. This is one of the very reasons why, even if I had the money to afford it, I don't want to go on postpaid. It's for shit like this. I don't want to. And the fact that they're using scare tactics to get most of Americans to agree with this change. Most of these Americans that are commenting on the FCC's post on X, formerly known as Twitter, that are saying, oh, they're looking out for us, they're protecting us. Protecting you from what? Even with this device unlock policy in place, identity theft is still going to happen. Someone is still going to, if they get a chance, to steal your identity and use it to get themselves a phone. Right? The way to stop fraudulent stuff is when they actually catch a fraudulent account is to blacklist the IMEI. You don't need to lock it to the network. You need to blacklist it where it can't be activated on any network at all. There's how you solve that. But the FCC is not going to tell you that because they want to look like heroes to all of you guys while they allow Verizon to do this. Is it Mobile X have unlocked phone? Yeah, they do. That's what I'm saying. Mobile X and Google Fi Wireless both have unlocked devices that you don't need to request to unlock because they're already unlocked. You can take them anywhere. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. I feel like, this FCC administration is just another batch of hot garbage. They're not fixing the real issues that a lot of Americans are really stressing about. And shout out to those who posted on the FCC's post that were making mention of this, because this is absolutely true. But I can say that I can relate to this topic, and you guys can tell me if you guys relate to it. But don't you get fucking sick and tired of getting phone calls and you got some weird ass jackass on there who's pretending to be the IRS, Chase Bank, or whatever the hell it is, trying to scam you out of money? Like, aren't you tired of that? Or aren't you tired of having to worry about, your nana, or grandma, or however you guys refer to them, nana, or whatever nickname you have for your grandma, or for your grandpa, or for your mom and dad if you're like my age. You may have parents that are like in their 70s and 80s. Aren't you, tired of having to worry about them taking a phone call? I mean, I watch so many videos on YouTube, right? I'm not only a person who creates content, I consume a lot of content here on YouTube. And one of my favorite types of videos to watch are when white hat hackers are currently battling scammers. like, channels like Scammer Revolt and Kitboga. Like, these guys literally waste the time of scammers. So they intercept these calls, well, not intercept, but like they take these scam calls and they spend like 3, 4, or 5 hours on the phone with them, making the scammer think that they're about to get crypto or they're about to get this person's life savings. And then they find out that they themselves were played for a fool, and they get all upset. They instantly rage about it. Like, Kip Vogue is one of my favorite because they always tell them, like, and they have those thick accents, like go to your nearest store, get the Google Play card. And then Kip Voga, like, he has a voice changer, so he makes his voice sound like an 80-year-old woman's voice, and then he pretends to get like $500 of Google Play cards, and he built a fake Play Store website where it allows him to redeem these fake codes. And because the scammer is watching their computer screen because they're tapped in, you hear the scammer rage when he's all like, I'm gonna go and check and see this one's working. And then he types in, there was one time, it's so funny, there's one time that he actually, the Google Play card, the fake card code was a bunch of letters that if you looked closely, it says, I know you're a scammer. And the scammer didn't, he didn't notice it. He didn't catch it because he was too busy yelling at the lady, like, why are you redeeming it? I didn't tell you to redeem it. And it's like, but I watch those things because I like to know how these scammers are running scams. How are they doing it? What are they saying? It's even gone far worse right now. Like, right now we have scammers on social platforms because they know that people are crying out for the FCC to do something about these scam calls. So now they're reaching out to you on social platforms like X or Threads. I don't know if you guys ever get them. I get a few of them and I just ignore them. But I get like DMs from somebody that has like 0 followers, and it's like, hi, I'm Maggie, and I really like your profile, blah, 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 and da, da, da. Here's a link to Telegram to chat with me. Oh, hell no. I'm not chatting with you on Telegram. That's why I don't use Telegram. Like I always get asked from some of my friends here on YouTube, like Coffee will always be like why do I even care about RCS messaging? Like, over there in Europe, they use things like WhatsApp and stuff like that. But here in America, we're attacked by scammers on apps like WhatsApp, Telegram, etc. So that's why we use our native messaging, is because that's how scammers from West Africa, or scammers from India or from the Philippines, that's how they reach out to Americans, is through those apps. Like, they'll talk with you on a social platform that's pretty major and try to move the conversation over to things like that. That's how they do it. And so there's ways of avoiding scams. There's ways of like device locking to a network is not the absolute best way to prevent fraudulent activity and identity theft scams. It's not. My identity can still be stolen today. My identity can still be used to open an account on AT&T for somebody to get some iPhones, and then my credit gets ruined. Okay? Let's just be real and honest for a second, all joking aside. So this does nothing to deter that. We're in the same boat. Okay, all the FCC did was just point out that your feet is standing in a pile of shit. And so they're like, we're going to move you over here into a different pile of shit. You're still standing in shit. Nothing's changed. So I don't buy the FCC and Verizon's whole stance on these fraudulent activities. They have a fraud department. They have a fraud department that investigates. Every carrier, every major carrier, every MNO, mobile network operator, has a fraud department. I know this for a fact. They have a fraud department, and that's what their job is to do. Find inconsistencies. If I open a Verizon account back in 2015 and have been a loyal Verizon customer, They are the ones who review if a new Verizon account has been opened with my name and social. And then they look to make sure that there isn't any fraudulent activity. I'm not going to say what they look for because I ain't trying to give anyone a heads up. But let me just put it to you this way. They can tell in 10 minutes if the newly opened account in my name is my account or somebody else who fraudulently used my identity. They can tell. You know, and this is why, I don't know if some of you guys ever experienced this, where you guys get like a phone call, and or not a phone call, but you get like you open an account and then it shuts down in like 15 minutes, and then you get an email that says that, you know, they're suspecting fraudulent activity, and you're like, it's not fraud, it's me. And you call in and you're like, hey, you guys turned off my account because of fraud, man, and it was really me, and I can prove who I am. And it's like, but I mean, it's really you, and you're calling in and you're trying to get the account reinstated, and you're like, I can prove who I am. So, you know, that's why they're not worried about angry customers who called in because they were suspected of, you know, fraudulent activity and their account was paused or halted or shut down, because they know the real person would call in to fix that. A person that is claiming to be that person and is really not that person is not going to call in 50% of the time. They may try to call in, they may talk to a rep for like at least 15-20 minutes trying to butter them up to just reinstate the account. But then at the end of the day, when it's time to verify who you are, that's when they're like, I got work to do, I ain't got time for this shit, I'll talk to y'all later, and they hang up. You know, FCC will never fix scam calls. They will fix crazy stuff. Yeah, the reason why they won't fix scam calls is because that's how scammers are tapping into people's phone numbers. The same way that, you know, spammers, right? Get those weird ass phone calls, answer ins, like, for example, I got one the other day when a person called and they were looking for Isabella. They're like, Isabella, this is with I forgot the government thing or whatever, and I was like, there's no Isabella here. And they're like, oh, well, this will be your final opportunity to be able to get the government funding of $4,000 because of inflation. And it's like, do people not know that most of these calls are scam calls too as well? Like, you know, they're trying to steal your money by claiming that you're supposed to be awarded money. Like, look, we're not being awarded anything at this time. So yeah, but anyways, yeah, it's one of those spam things. Or like, you can go back to college today. Like, I would love to, but the opportunity that you're sending me to go to college, maybe you should give that opportunity to my son who's in college, or my daughter who will be in college in 3 years. Like, I would love for those things to just apply to the younger so they can get some education. That'd be so cool. But this ain't the first time that Verizon's ridiculous. There's one thing that people are not talking about that you know, in my opinion, kind of just like proves how freaking jacked up Verizon is. Earlier on the Pixel Sideload channel, in my review of the Pixel 7, I had stated this. I had said that, you know, that I like using the Pixel 7. This particular one is the Verizon model that I just recently got, because my original unlocked model, the screen went dead on it. And when I save up enough money where it won't impact my bills, then I'll take it to get the screen replaced and get it fixed. The one thing I can't do with this phone is I can't show you guys custom ROMs on it like Evolution X or Lineage OS or any of that stuff. Why? Because the bootloader on this is locked down. Every Verizon device, the bootloader is locked. And so this is going to pertain more to Android, because on iPhones, everything is in-house. Apple doesn't like anyone really messing around with their stuff, right? This is why when that one kid jailbroke an iPhone and did all kinds of customizations to it, Apple offered him a big ass bounty. But they're not a bounty, but they offered him like a big ass settlement, like, you know, take down his method of jailbreaking an iPhone. And then I think they offered him a job too to work for them. Anyways, but Androids, in order to install, you know, custom software, or even just to wipe the software off the phone completely and reinstall it to try and fix an issue, you need the bootloader unlocked. And Verizon requests Google to lock down the bootloaders of all the Pixels. They request Samsung to lock down the bootloader of all Samsungs. So if you needed to do anything, like for instance, Pixels, this is a very major thing. We have two different tools with the Pixel. We have the Google Flash tool, or not Google, but the Android Flash tool, where you can not only just flash the latest software of Android or beta software of Android, but you can also downgrade. So like if you took the update, today for the January 5th security patch, and maybe it's acting a little bit weird, you can downgrade the software to the December 5th security patch, and then reinstall the January 5th, right? So you have wiggle room to kind of play around with the software if you have any issues. On a Verizon model phone, you can't do that, because one of the requirements in order to flashing any type of system image on a Android device, you need the bootloader unlocked. You need access to fast boot, and they block it. But you know what the most fucked up part is that if you own the phone, like you paid it off, whatever financial obligation you had, you satisfied it, or you bought the phone outright full price. You own the phone. If you reach out to Verizon and ask them to help you get the bootloader unlocked, they're going to refer you to Google. You go to Google, and Google's going to tell you, we have no control over that. Verizon does, because it was at their request to lock the bootloader. And it's like, why can't anybody do it? Like, why can't Verizon somehow, some way work in tandem with Google, that if someone pays off a phone and it shows that there's no financial obligation on the IMEI of that phone, that Verizon can't just say, okay, they send an email to Google, this IMEI bootloader can be unlocked, and then all that happens with that is you can just be requested to go to the Android Flash tool, and they can have a specific software version of Android for this particular model that when you flash it, it enables the OEM unlock and developer options. But no, they won't even do that. Why won't they do that? Well, obviously Verizon doesn't like people using custom ROMs, because with custom ROMs, you can do certain things. Like for instance, if they give you a metered amount of hotspot with a custom ROM, you can hide the hotspot usage, where it tricks the system into thinking that it's regular data used from the smartphone rather than from the hotspot, even though you are using the phone as a hotspot for another device to connect to. And so because Verizon doesn't want you doing that, they don't want you flashing any custom ROMs. Because with custom ROMs, you can root the phone. When you root the phone, you can have full control over the phone in itself. You can also install modules that, prevent, or hide certain things, right? Like one of the things that you can install when you put a custom ROM on your Android device is if you put root, like Magisk, you can install a module which is a safety net, which hides the fact that you have root, because certain apps like banking apps, certain games, and other services will not work on your Android device if it detects that you have root access. So you can hide root. So yeah, you can hide using hotspot as hotspot and make the network think it's just regular data used. And if you are on a plan that's fully unlimited, like on Verizon's, fully unlimited plan with ultra wideband access, just imagine you're using that the same way you would use Verizon Home Internet. They wouldn't know. Verizon has a lot of things in place. Like they are the ones, I know all the carriers do it, but they are the ones that I've seen through my friends that are the most proactive in kicking people off their services because they claim network abuse. Somebody uses, 500 gigabytes of data, and they get an email saying that, they're using too much data, and so they kick them off. Like Verizon's has got a very, very bad rep. So why am I talking about all these things about what Verizon's done? And this correlates back to the device unlock policy. This is just, another chestnut on the pile of other ones that were already there that just is against consumers. They're definitely, in this playing field to hurt the consumer. I think that these companies should compete with customer service. Your customer service should be the reason why customers stay. Your customer service should be the reason why that, someone wants to sign up with you. Sometimes you don't need to handcuff somebody to make them stay with you. Sometimes you just have to treat them right. and treat them good, and they're not going to want to look anywhere else. Kind of like, you know, like marriage, right? Right now, Verizon is like the abusive partner that's using force to keep the partner with them. You know, if Verizon would just treat their partner good, make them feel good, make them feel appreciated, make them feel loved, then their partner's not going to want to go anywhere. It's just like a regular relationship. How crazy is that, right? I am addicted to cranberry juice. I have a problem. Is there a Cranberries Anonymous? Damn, this is good. And like, so one thing I'll tell people about cranberry juice, if you go and you buy like the store market brand, it is not going to taste as good as Ocean Spray. Ocean Spray cranberry juice just has this very good flavor to it. Like you get the nice citrusy punch of the cranberry, but also you taste the sweetness. If you go with like Signature Select cranberry juice or whatever the off brand is from the supermarket, that has more of a pungent citrus taste with no sweetness. And so, yeah, Ocean Spray cranberry juice. It's, yeah. And this is not market placement or an ad or anything like that. You're 2 years sober. Congratulations on being sober, man. It's a hard-fought battle. Most people don't understand that. You know, addictions. When you're an addict of something, you have to understand you're an addict. That never goes away. It's always a battle. It's always a battle. Yeah, sometimes the steps get easier and easier and easier. What up, Sneed? Sometimes the steps get easier and easier and easier, but you know, you're still, as long as you recognize you're an addict, you're fine. It's when you start going in denial, you might slip back. But anyways, yeah, so those are the key things that like really irk the hell out of me out of Verizon. You know, the device unlock policy changing now where you have to complete, you know, the length of your finance agreement, right? So there's that chestnut on the stack of a bunch of them. Locked bootloaders, and they have no way of unlocking the bootloader or no way of working with Google to do that if you paid off a phone. I mean, everything's just locked down nowadays. Buy unlocked. And for those people that were on X talking about they're making America safe, your identity can still get stolen. Your identity can still get stolen. Somebody can still use your name, your social, your credit score, go to an AT&T store, pull out 2 iPhone 17 Pro Maxes, and have an account with AT&T. And yeah, you may say it's stupid, but they're willing to pay that bill because they wanted the service. They've had the money for the service. They just don't have the credit score to finance an iPhone 17 Pro Max at the highest capacity. So they used your information to get it. Is fraud happening? Fuck yeah, it is. Still happening. So like all this stuff about human trafficking and all this other stuff, like pandering to the American people and frightening them, like going up to somebody and saying, I'm putting you on house arrest because there are people with pew-pews that are unaliving people on the streets. That's a really good analogy. Damn, Tito, you did good. That's what I would say this change of the policy is like. Somebody coming to your house, knocking on your door, and then strapping ankle monitors to all you guys and saying house arrest. Because there's evil people with pew-pews on the street that are unaliving people. So for your safety, we're going to lock you in your own house. Like, come on now. If you're not willing to do that, then why are you willing to accept this? That's my question. Why are you willing to accept the device unlock policy? You know, so main thing is that any device that's activated on Verizon of January 13th, 2026 and forward, you are bound by the new unlock policy. Any device activated before January 13th, you are still bounded by the old 60-day unlock policy. But, you know, I doubt at this point that Verizon is like going to automatically unlock devices for everyone that is still on the old policy. They may do a couple of them just so it shows that they are sticking to their old policy agreement of auto unlocking after 60 days. But I'm sure there's some that they're just going to just quietly skip over because hey, they may never know. They may never know. You know, and the fact that you have to go in and request it. And believe you me, I used to believe that, you know, if you're financing a device, that your device should still be unlocked. We're really taking time to think about a lot of it, and it's like you're screwing your own credit up if you don't pay off the phone. So why does the phone still need to be locked to a carrier? Because people have different circumstances, right? You got to walk different walks of life to really kind of understand that. Maybe somebody just, you know, went through a very bad financial decision and is going through very bad financial hardships, and they can't afford their Verizon bill anymore or whatever, whatnot. Shouldn't they be able to just take that phone and go to something cheaper? You know, just so that way they can still stay in contact with family. Like, so there's a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda scenarios, but then at the end of the day, this is anti-competitive. This is trapping people. This is forcing you to stay with them. This is an abusive relationship. Let's just call it for what it is. Okay. Verizon is going to continue to abuse you, and they expect you to be the, you know, the receiving and submissive partner and just shut up and take it and go about your business. You know, so that's the reality of things when it comes to this Verizon thing. And I'm still pissed at Verizon that they won't let people unlock their bootloaders. Like, I really do want to try Evolution X on this Pixel 7. This is a Verizon model. I know I have an unlocked one, you know, but the one thing that this Verizon Pixel 7 has that my unlocked Pixel 7 doesn't have is millimeter wave access with that antenna. Got the millimeter wave antenna on the top of the Pixel 7. On the regular one, it doesn't have that there because there's no millimeter wave access. It's just mid-band and low-band 5G access. So Verizon, yeah, no good, no bueno. So like I said, Mobile X is one that I know that doesn't lock down devices that they sell. So if you want to get one from Mobile X, you can. And then Google Fi is another one. Google Fi, none of their devices are network locked at all. So you get one from them, you get one from them. Whether you finance it or you buy it outright. Like if you, because Google Fi Wireless has device financing. And even if you device finance, they're unlocked. So you can use Google Fi and then you can add another carrier SIM. That's the whole reason why people get upset with this network unlock, is because not everyone's looking to port out. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, not everybody is looking to port out. Some people would just love to be able to run dual SIM on their device and have coverage on two different networks. Like, it doesn't make sense to have a Verizon main SIM and then a Verizon secondary SIM on the same phone. You're still on the same damn network. If you go to a place with no good Verizon access, you're SOL. You're screwed. You're screwed. It's done. So, yeah, it would make more sense if Verizon's your main service provider. Maybe you picked up a T-Mobile line or an AT&T line. Maybe you picked up US Mobile and you just do like network transfers in between, right? Because if you're on the $44 premium, you can do, I believe it's 2 free network transfers a year. And then after that, it's like $2 to do a network transfer. So to jump from Warp to Dark Star to Lightspeed and kind of wiggle around, you could do that. In order to be able to have that US Mobile SIM active on your phone needs to be network unlocked. And that's what they're blocking. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. And then a little bit of a small news here before I wrap things up here in a little bit. Pixel 10a, they're already talking a February release. Now, people are saying because there's leaks discussing that the Pixel 10a is going to show up mid-February, that they believe that the Pixel 11's launch date might have moved up to July. I don't know about the Pixel 11 launch date, and I'm not really too concerned about it. I know the Pixel 11 is going to have some really cool features that's added into it or whatever. I'm very happy with my Pixel 10. And in order for me to make this grand masterpiece video work, where the Pixel 10 will be my flagship device for 7 years, God, that's going to be a long wait just to make a video. Hopefully YouTube is around till then. Otherwise, you know, if you go back in the dark ages, I'm going to have to like make this video and then take the file and burn it to like a DVD and then mail it to everyone, get everyone's mailing address and mail them a copy of the DVD or the video. That'd be so funny. Because we're kind of going backwards, right, with technology. Like, you know, the Clicks communicator, you know, BlackBerry style. QWERTY keyboard phones are making a comeback. You know, we got foldable technology. Yeah. So yeah, who knows? DVDs might come back in style. But anyways, yeah, I want to commit to using the Pixel 10. Like, I know it's going to be very hard because, you know, the Pixel 11, like I said, is going to have some cool features. The Pixel 12 is definitely going to have some, you know, beefed up features compared to the Pixel 10. And, you know, all the further ones down the road up to the Pixel 17. And so it means that I would have to forfeit upgrading to the 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. 7 generations. I mean, someone, you know, pretty much said something that I said, which is like, my phone will be supported for 7 years, but I guarantee the battery won't. And, you know, I would love for there to be a company that opens up that can actually modify these devices. And what I mean by that is like, you know, 4 years from now, I would say silicon carbon is going to be like, you know, the default battery type put into smartphones, because we're already seeing silicon carbon batteries come into OnePlus devices, etc. And I'm thinking to myself, how cool would it be if you could modify a Pixel 10 to when you do a battery replacement, to put like a 5500, or hell, I'll go like this. You put in a 6500 milliamp silicon carbon battery, right? So big battery capacity in a smaller form factor, so it fits into a small phone. Like, that'd be just so cool to be able to do stuff like that. So the wifey is chatting with me. What's happening? My wife made a little she made a little collage of my daughters from when they were really young. My daughters. I know it's kind of blurry, but yeah, that's a pretty cool photo. I'm gonna go troll my daughters here in a little bit and be like, you guys, because they don't get along. Like, they're always arguing. They're always arguing nowadays. They're always fighting. And so I'm gonna take that photo and be like, you guys were so close when you guys were little. I know I'm gonna get the face of my daughters where like they're using Superman's lasers trying to burn me alive. But yeah, so anyways, yeah, rumors on that is February release for a Pixel 10a, and they're saying that the price is suggested to remain the same, $499. Now, the question that everyone wants to know is it going to launch at a 256 base model? This is just my guess, so I could be wrong, but I'm gonna say no. I hate to piss people off that, you know, are hoping for it, but I do believe it will be a 128 gig starting off base model. If Google's going to make any changes to storage capacity base size, I think it would be with the Pixel 11, where that would be like 256, 512 for the base model, and then 256, 512, you know, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte with the Pro models. But at the same time too, I mean, like, I'm getting older and everything, and I'm like so sick and tired of this, you know, base versus pro. Like, fuck the pros already. Like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. Like, I've told people, like, I get it. Everyone, you know, gets mad at specifications, spec sizes. Oh no, the cameras on the Pixel 10, they made them smaller. You know, yeah, because they're not gonna put a 50 megapixel main shooter and two 48 megapixel, which one would be an ultra wide, one would be a telephoto. They're not going to put those sensors into the Pixel 10 and have them in the Pixel 10 Pro, because then what's the point of having the Pixel 10 Pro? It would have to, or like what? You're going to pay a $200 difference because one has a shiny back and the other one has a matte finish? I like somebody else's suggestion. They could have did a 50 megapixel main sensor and like a 48 megapixel ultra wide and a 16 megapixel telephoto. That ain't gonna work, because then people are just gonna complain that the telephoto is 16 megapixels. Like, megapixels aren't everything too. I'm sorry to say this, and someone can try to disagree with me, and go ahead. You're free to like rate your whole reasons why, but megapixels doesn't really mean anything unless you're making billboards. Megapixels don't mean shit on a freaking 6.2 inch display. Sorry. You can have 60 megapixel camera. Not going to make a huge drastic difference compared to shooting with like, 48 megapixel or 12.2 megapixel. I just dropped a video on Instagram exclusive video where I went ahead and demoed the Pixel 7, and the Pixel 7's cameras can pretty much bang with my Pixel 10. You know what I mean? They still look good today. The only difference is my Pixel 7 doesn't have a telephoto lens. So everything that's a zoom crop is a digital crop. So yeah, if you're into that photography, but I don't know. Today's like people just like, oh, 48 megapixels sucks. Well, I can't do shit with this. And then you go to their Instagram and they have like the most boringest photos ever. Like they took a picture of their foot while they're sitting in their garage with their big toe showing. Like, oh my God, the wonders of photography. Hashtag pixelography there. Your big toe, buddy. It's there. We can see that you've got some fungus building on that toenail. Like, come on. I can understand when people that actually love to go out and actually do photography, whether they use human subjects because it's their passion. They love to take photos and see what they can do with their imagination, or people that go out into the wild, out into the into the desert, into the forest, and they do photography out there, landscape photography, sunset photography, silhouette photography, monochrome photography. There's just so many different things you could do, and I can understand those people complaining, but then again, the camera phones today are so catching up with mirrorless cameras. They're so catching up with DSLRs. You can really get a good photo with a smartphone these days. Even a smartphone that's like $500, you can get a pretty damn good photo with it. It's so I don't know. I'm reaching there. I'm reaching there. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion on things. But yeah, at the end of the day, Pixel 10a is going to come out. I don't see no reason to really upgrade from my Pixel 9a. So my 9a is still going to stay in my possession. Maybe like down the road, like a year from now or something, I may buy the Pixel 10a at a discount and have it then. But I'm not going to get it at day of launch. Same with the Pixel 11. I may get it down the road, but I'm not getting it at day of launch. So I may do like a reaction to the Made by Google event and tell you guys like what I'm so excited about with the Pixels, where I go all crazy and everything like that over Pixels. But yeah, this year I'm not going to pre-order a Pixel and have it delivered or anything like that, because I really like my Pixel 10. That's one hell of a kick-ass machine right there. That's a badass phone. I don't give a fuck what anyone says, and you can talk about specs till you're blue in the face, but actually using that phone, hella good. Just like right now, I'm using my Pixel 9a as my webcam. I mean, I don't know why people find that so surprising. I use the Pixel 9a as a webcam. Some of you guys can tell. You can tell because the quality is not the same as like a high-performing web camera for PC. I know that, but it still does pretty good. And then I use my other my Pixel 6a for my topside camera, where if I could put my phones here or my laptop here or my little clear laptop holder, and then just like, yeah, if I want to show you guys something from like right here, I can do that. I have a very ghetto setup. If you guys want to see what my computer setup is like for a video, yeah, let me know and I'll make that video. It's kind of funny. I don't have a very powerful machine. Everything in my, and I'm not embarrassed to say it because I don't give a shit. I'm trying my very best at what I do. I'm making content and everything like that. But I got, just a Dell PC, 2 monitors. I got a 2 terabyte external hard drive. This Amazon purchased a wireless keyboard and mouse. And then for webcams, I'm using my Pixel phones. That's what I have. Then of course, I have my Pixelbook Go right there, and then my Android Smart TV over there. So, yeah, they're not doing anything. Shit. Someone was like asking me on social media about it. They're not really doing anything. These are screensavers. And I think they're so cool. They're so cool and everything, and so like it's just a text screensaver, and like someone's like, "Are you coding some stuff on your?" Like, no, I'm not coding anything. If I'm coding, it's going to be on my PC, and like I'm still like working on my game. I'm still working on my on the math game that I'm building for my son. I'm actually also working on another game too as well, which is more of a language, right? So I'm starting off with Thai, and I'm gonna like have my kids beta test it for me, and without them knowing, they're actually going to learn how to speak Thai while doing it, because it's almost like a flashcard game, but it's a little bit different. Little bit of stuff in there too, like trivial videos and stuff like that. I'm trying to incorporate that, so that way, like the way that I'm coding out the game is a couple of flashcard style type stuff, right? Where you see like the word in Thai, and you have to like say, you have to guess what it is, and it's in English. But then there's also some that you have to like vocally respond, which is really hard. It's really hard to code that. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know if I can get it to work the way that I wanted it to work. 'Cause the way I wanted it to work is like either it shows you an image of something and you have to say it in Thai, and it listens to how you're pronouncing it, and if you're pronouncing it correctly, then you get it correct. If you mispronounced it, or if you said the wrong word, then it's no, like you didn't, like, you failed that question. And so I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to do it where it also shows you like a clip, someone says something, and then you would have to vocally say back the response. And yeah, so that's my plan, something that I'm working on and building. I'm using Vibe Code to build that, and of course Gemini as well to help. So now there's a lot going on there. Hopefully I can get it going. Hopefully that one I will build into an actual smartphone app and release it on the Play Store and maybe the Apple App Store. Which is the final thing that I kind of want to touch base with real quick. Apple has decided Google is their choice for AI for Siri. So Gemini isn't Siri going forward. Yeah, so I never really had a problem with the OS wars, because there's things about iOS that I like, there's things about Android that I like, but allow me 10 seconds to rub it in their faces. But put that in your pipe and smoke it, ice sheep. And I'm talking about like the diehard Apple fans that just always want to shit on everybody. Like, now it's back on you, because every time, when they talk about, I use Apple because I can't stand Google. Well, every time you talk to Siri going in the future, you are actually communicating with Gemini, which is Google. Good on you. But yeah, so I leave you guys at that, for Wednesday's podcast. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with me. I absolutely appreciate that. If you guys hit the like button, I truly appreciate that too as well. Thanks so much for doing that. If you're new to the channel, you just subscribed, thanks for doing that too as well. If you're a fan of Pixels, head on over to Pixel Sideload and subscribe to get all the Pixel news, deets, and video updates and all the other quirkiness that I do with Pixel phones, so you guys can just see the extent of why Pixel phones are really good. And that's that's pretty much all that there is for today. I will see you guys in the next one. Aloha. Or aloha. Aloha. People, they always have their little ways of doing it. Anyways, yeah, you guys be good. I'll talk to you guys later.